Hello, Twitch. Welcome in, everyone. So this is the result of our stock now. Give a little bit of a zoom out there. We've lost a little bit of liquid at this point. We started up around here, and we've cooked all the way down there. We still got a decent amount of stock there, but debating whether I want to reduce this much, if at all. But if we're going to do some reducing, that can be at least part of today's stream, but let's do some coffee. Let's get some caffeine surging in my veins here. As I'm reminded yet again, I need to buy more coffee filters. We might be out of... I don't know if there is a local place that sells Hario filters. I almost forgot to pre-rinse my filter. Doing pretty good tonight, Bun Buns. Welcome in. Spent quite a bit of time making a rather epically long Twitter post today, which will be continued on for the next 11, 12 days, weekdays. Still going a bit heavy here on the grinder. I think Facebook is trying to be smart by trying to lock up the name Meta, which is a very broad term. But I honestly think they're doing it because Facebook itself is sort of dead compared to Instagram and their other programs. And so they're trying to distance themselves from Facebook, which is now, they're going to put the bad blame of the company on Facebook from here on out. And then at some point, Facebook's just going to die out and they're like, yeah, that was the bad part of us. No. I'm guessing you're taking that comment about my sarcastic comment about only posting photos. Knocking stuff over. Though it's true at the same time, I would. Now we get to wonder if I actually updated the dinner command tonight. Did I update the dinner command tonight? No, I didn't. Awesome. We're making dirty rice and we're finishing up that stock tonight. Let me fix this right quick. Well, maybe not right quick, but as quick as possible. Awesome. That's a little bit better. Did I throw cream in there already? It looks like I did. Cheers, folks. Happy Monday. Happy casual Monday here on the stream. So, with our stock, we're going to get started with our stock tonight. We're going to move this over here. It's still slightly warm from me cleaning it a bit earlier. We're going to grab another smaller stock pot. Make sure we get any little dust that's been in there from last time we used this out. Sorry, squeak. Give me another here, maybe. Second one was minorly averted. Okay, so we got our two pots of stock here. Or our stock pots. Get my strainers out here. I have strainers that I bought already in the past for doing stock like this before. I mean, they're useful for other things too, but we have two conical strainers. This one's a much heavier one with a sheet metal with just holes drilled finely into it. And this is going to catch our bones. It's going to be, it's not going to puncture, unlike this one where it's still made out of a metal wire, but that's a much finer mesh. This is going to get all the other finer stuff out of there. And, yeah, it's protected by the heavier duty-er metal one. Why did it do that for you, Admiral Slam? That's very interesting. Interesting. Well, welcome back, Admiral Slam. It's been a minute. And thank you for that definition for me. It's essentially yes. We're going to be doing ground beef with some rice and some peppers. We got a shallot. We got some... I might throw some carrot in there too, just up the veggie content. And like I said before, I'm only going to give these a little bit of time with our stock. In fact, we're giving them so little time that we're just going to stir them in right now. This is going to give us our parsley. If you're not continuing on from yesterday, these are parsley stems, some older parsley that I have, and the tops off of my celery, the leaves and all that goodness. All perfectly good to throw in a stock. You just don't want it to do any major time in the stock because these are things that are going to quickly cook and are typically very darker green. I mean, these are some lighter green ones, but these are all the darker green stuff that will bitter with longer cooking times. And we're gonna need a ladle for this project. Which of my ladles am I gonna grab for this? That it is. Except I'm going to be using, I've got a bunch of smaller little baby bell-like peppers. They're little sweet peppers. Often see them pickled. And I'm going to be using those instead of bell pepper, and I am out of celery. So we're doing things not traditional as far as our Trinity, but tasty nonetheless. This is also a dish created in the desire not to have to bother going out when it's been disgusting out all day today. It's been just sort of like dark and rainy and ugh. I mean, we need the rain, don't get me wrong. We're still in fire territory here, but all the bones and meat just falling apart. I mean, don't need much help to... Please be careful doing this. So we have our leftovers there. We're going to give this a couple of minutes over here to continue straining out. biggest problem with doing stock like this is actually, for me, these pots. They take up so much room and take so long to clean. Strainers are handy, and they're hard to keep nice. They're really hard to keep nice. Especially if you... I suggest actually buying nice strainers and keeping them nice. But that said, some people's idea of nice is still going to cause them to wear out this mesh and yada yada. They just take, well, when it comes to the mesh ones, like the one on the outside here, on the bottom of that, it's, you got to clean it quick. You don't want to get stuff dried onto it, and it's extremely hard to get off once you get stuff dried onto it. Even then, it takes a little bit of agitation here and there, and when you're talking about doing that with mesh, it's not very easy to clean. My brush does a better job than most things. Like, if you try and use these things, like most restaurants use these, bigger ones of these, I cut these down, but you get what I mean. It's just gonna rip those up. Like, it's gonna be like grating it on sandpaper. And we're below the water level here, so we gotta let this drain out for a moment. Oops. It's still dripping regularly. I'm gonna wait until it starts slowing down. They are definitely the name. Well, them and Tony Cacciari's. Tony Cacciari's, they're one of my ingredient challenges. I have a whole bunch of his stuff. I've had a whole bunch of his stuff for ages. Buying the no salt blends, the salted blends have way too much. I mean, add your own salt. I don't like paying for salt as part of a spice thing, first off, but... Alright. So you see that caught some stuff in there too. This one's going straight over the sink. Ain't gonna get a spray out. Hi, Gamble. So we'll just take this out of the camera view. This goes into the compost, but I'll do that separately. I have my compost over here, and this is gonna fill up that compost. So we'll do that separately. Alright, we'll give our ladle a rinse off since that was in the original stock that wasn't strained. Get any little bits that are on the outside of that off. And then, like I was saying before, this is pretty nicely concentrated, and I think it's reduced enough already that I don't want to reduce it that much more. So we'll take a moment here and wipe down our stove here. Got all these marks from cooking stock on it the last 24 hours. Well, I also used to do this as a business. I used to make all sorts of products from the farmers at the farmers markets out of a mobile kitchen. I did that for about, was it 7 years? I did that for about, and stock was one of those things that I regularly made based off of local farmers. So I'm going to take that entirely off of the heat. That's just, there's no heat underneath going on in that pan at all right now. And do I want to start bagging right away with this, or are we going to wait for this to cool a little bit? I think I'm going to wait for this to cool a little bit. We'll get a whisk going here to help aerate, cool things off a little bit, add a bit of steam here. Okay, I think the word chef, I mean, it works well for me here streaming to immediately identify what my, streams are about. I think it's given too much of a Heidi level as far as other things. It's really just a management title in the real world. So instead, let's get going with our dirty rice. That pan's looking a little funky now that the two cures I have on it are sort of fighting. You have the original cure, which is that shiny cure on this. That's the original, brand new cast iron finish. And then the duller finish underneath is the newer finish that I'm giving it, that's around the sides. Got our first battle of the evening. I started this sort of late tonight. Let's see, what do we got here? Throw a little haste out here. Uh-oh. Bye-bye, Archer. Ugh. I'm gonna try the same thing, but I'm gonna go from the corner here. Allow us to put a little more people together at once. We got presents out here too. Presents are great with rogues, so we want rogues out there. But we also want support, so yeah. Healers, flags, rogues. That's true, but I also think it's a lot of bar cooks that are doing nothing but frying pre-made food, calling themselves chefs. Because the name has that aura to it. I mean, it's why I'm using it for the most part. Heat on in our pan. I'm going to do oil for my roux tonight. Why I'm looking at butter while saying I'm going to use oil, I do not know. This looks like a good measuring tool. Now we gotta get rid of the oil in this. I think there's a lot of science there that I don't know all the whole truths about. I will say that there are a fair number of people that do that on a regular basis that have done it enough that they probably know. I've tried it both ways and it hasn't really changed much for me. But, like I said, I don't know the science. So we got some now rather hot oil in here. And we'll add some flour. And we're going to turn the heat down because we're going to cook this dark. We're still at above a boil when I say turn it down, but we're at like medium now rather than full bore. I do know that soaking your rice is certainly a difference, but soaking pre-cut, but I mean, in many cases you just cut them. For a little osmosis action. And in many cases when I make a roux here on stream, in most cases when I make a roux on stream, because I like Creole cuisine or Cajun cuisine, but I don't do a ton of them. We're doing this more for flavor than we're doing this for thickening anything. Because the rice is actually going to do most of our thickening. I don't know what time it is for you, Admiral, but there's actually a streamer that goes through a lot of that sort of info on his stream. And is very scientific. Is Food Experiment on for me is early Sunday mornings, but in Europe that's much more prime time. So we're going to turn this down a little bit. We're already starting to get some nice color here. If you're not worried about catching it, I mean, if you're going to pay the attention to it, I'm sitting here streaming, and so I don't want it full bore. But you can do this at straight up boiling if you think you're quick enough and have enough experience to know when to pull it off. I, on the other hand, am turning around and looking at chat every once in a while. Is perhaps just slightly on the wet side for what we're doing. As far as the oil to flour, we want it looking almost like sand, and it does sort of look like sand like it is right there. But it could be A little thicker here on the outsides. Now I'm going to turn it down really low because that can go much further, and I intend to take it further. But we need some stuff to throw in there after we're done with that. Food experiment. It's all one word. Bunch of smaller garlic here. If that stock was still rolling, these peels would be going in there. Slippery little sucker. Oh no, I have even less shallot than I thought I did. Take a look at our roux back here that's still cooking slowly. Cover band. What's new, Bun Buns? Did you do anything different today? Went out with your uncle yesterday. We're back to working. Hopefully you're not falling asleep at work. Yeah, that's sort of how I was yesterday. I had to wake up at 5... Well, I didn't have to, but I chose to wake up at 5 a.m. for the Formula 1 race, and then it just screwed up my whole day. Try to make it that. Doesn't always end up being that way, but that is my intent. Honestly, I think that market's pretty much gone, Admiral. That market's gonna be only extreme prime locations from here on out. And everything else is gonna be ghost kitchens. Which I despise, but they're a reality. Everything else is going to be too expensive real estate-wise for those. Yep. There's other terms for them. Ghost is the first one that I learned, and so I've kept with it. But essentially they are, since so much food these days is being ordered online and delivered rather than coming from an actual restaurant, they've realized, oh yeah, we can have one kitchen and pretend to be 5 or 10 different places all at once and get contracts from the big names after a while. And yeah, we can serve all this food out of one little kitchen, not really, caring about the fact that they're destroying 5 other kitchens. Yeah, they're just getting more and more problems. I mean, it's not just the ghost kitchens that's killing them, it's the delivery services that are killing them too, because the delivery services are all obviously, economies of scale. We already have menus set up for all of the pre-made restaurants, and so all the mom and pops then have to go out and figure out, okay, this is how Instacart does it, this is how that does it, and that's how they do it, and they have to fill it out for all of them. I don't know where you're seeing prices and fees going out of condition, Admiral Sim. What I see is ghost kitchens now selling, let's find some random celebrity that's now famous, like Mr. Big. And now Mr. Big now has a hamburger stand. And that's just going to continue to happen. We're going to have... It won't be the McDonald's Sports Star version of the meal. It's going to be Sports Star has his own restaurant theme. I don't see how the prices and fees are going to hit them differently or harder. What I do see instead is celebrities or big names that are getting a lot of use right then becoming themes for restaurants along the same way that they're now, got their own merch, they've got their own, everything every streamer on here has, it's just going to be the next... Because there's next to no... I mean, all you have to have is a professional chef right up the menu, and then have the commands set down to all of ghost kitchens. They're all built these days so that, it takes next to no knowledge in order... I mean, the knowledge is taken out of the cooking now in most of these mass-produced places. A lot of it's being done in commissaries and then sent to them. Fun puns. It's like the chain restaurants and that the Applebee's and the Ruby Tuesdays and all that. They're half of them are using just commissary stuff that they do in a central location in order to make things cheaper, and then they're practically just microwaving it to order. Oh, so they're getting you to pay more for using them too, huh? I've used those ordering services like maybe once or twice in my life. Once was for KFC last January. I can tell you that. I did it when I ordered extra crispy chicken for my ingredient challenge. Oh, that meal was rather... the chicken was meh, but the meal was rather epic. So we still got our roux going back here. Still haven't cut the heat off of this, so this is going to get... We're going to turn the heat up even more here. Yep, you still got a flame underneath there. That's more like a... just below a dark chocolate roux. If you look closely at it, you can see some black specks in there, and those are actually bits of flour that have gotten a little extra cooked than the rest. going to turn the heat way back up on this now. Now we got stuff to throw in here. Let's give our stock over here to the side a little bit of a stir up. It's got a nice thin layer of fat on top. The idea there with swirling like that is we're incorporating air, and that air is going to cool down the liquid. It's a slow method of doing it, but at least it's a little bit better than just letting it sit there open in the air. Yeah. That's interesting. I don't know, maybe they're trying to get you to pay for the fact that they got a new kitchen? Because the reality is they're making stuff for all of those names at a lower price point than it would be for you to have those 5 stores near you. Yeah. They're just getting you pay even more for a cheaper method of producing it for you. What are we gonna do for a battle here, though? Think we got it. Think we got it. Victory. Bun's getting 50 gold there. And on to the question boss. Unknown boss. Frost boss. Let's try Berserker, and let's go back here. Let's hit him from the back. And I'm going to say, not up there, not there. So, either side here. We'll do that in 30 minutes. Back to our rapidly heating roux back here. I don't think I've said this yet tonight. When making a roux, you want to be very careful that you're not getting this on you. You do not want this to splash on you. You do not want this all over the place. This is oil and flour. The flour is going to stick and the oil is going to continue to burn. It is not fun on skin. So please use care whenever making a roux, however you choose to make it. You can do, especially if you're doing a ton of it, you can make roux in the oven. And then just take a look at it every once in a while at a low setting. Like, you can even just like let it in overnight on a really low setting. And because it's roux, it's nothing but oil and flour, it's not going to go bad quick. So you can do a whole bunch of it at once if you're going to use it. In fact, that's something my first college that I went to for culinary, little community college, did a lot of their stuff. They used to make big batches of roux, and they would have like pie tins of roux chunked up. You can just grab a piece of roux and use that whenever you wanted some roux to cook something. Starting to get smoke from the oil here now. I'm gonna quick close my bedroom door. Do not want smoke alarms going off. And throw both the garlic and the shallots in together. Still waiting on that to get back to peak temp here. We are starting to get back to the boil point here. We're starting to get that wet sand effect back in the center of this. You can see this is starting to darken much quicker now too. In with our peppers now too. Now I'm making it for my dirty rice dinner tonight. What's my opinion on TikTok? It's not horrible, but I think the trending fact of it brings a lot of bad stuff. I find, like, TikTok's very much like YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts is really just trying to capitalize on TikTok, let's be honest. But we'll turn the heat off on that. They tend to be attention grabbing, and then you get through a few of them, and then they just turn to junk. They're just trying to grab your attention. They're not really trying to accomplish anything. Like, no TikTok is ever. I'm never gonna watch a TikTok to learn a recipe. And what you actually see on TikTok is them actually feeding people into creating these recipes that are purely to get people. You saw it a lot with Vine too back in the day. Now with TikTok, where like recently there was that lady that did that whole nachos on a counter, or was it pasta on a counter? I don't know what it was, but it got trending all over the place for how disgusting it was, and yet, is this person really trying to do it? No, it was crafted to get your attention. It's crafted to actually, I mean, there's actually articles about it, about how they're now creating these recipes that are just that wacky that people are like, do they really? Now cocktails I can see being actually worthwhile, because they're just quick, 2-3 ingredients. It's not, I mean, I'm sure there's food ingredients that you can do that way too, but it's really more people looking at for the food porn than they are for the actual information, is what I'm getting at. Which, food porn has a place, but the idea of a platform based on the idea of it? Or, I mean, the equivalent of food porn for everything. Yep, Admiral Slam. That's it. So, like, there's a segment of them that I think are worthwhile, but it's such a small sliver compared to the stuff that's just straight up clickbait that it really discourages my interest in it. Okay, we'll turn the heat back on over here now that we let that come down to a little bit more. Not going to burn all of this temp. We'll do it in a bowl. Plate. We have some of the ground beef here tonight that I got from my quarter steer purchase. So this is ground beef that was produced here in Sonoma County. Raised, pasture raised, actually with a better ocean view than I do have. I don't have an ocean view at all, but in other words, it has not traveled far. Its carbon footprint is considerably lower than your average beef. It's pasture-raised beef, and I know where it was raised, unlike most other beef. I'm gonna cook my beef right in that. We're not going too traditional today, obviously. I would bun buns, but I don't have any form of grinder. I would love to have a grinder, but I don't have one. It's sort of hard to do without one. I actually broke down a whole pig minus the head and offal on stream. That was almost 2 years ago now. And, 1.5 years ago now. And, yeah, I just didn't, I used hacksaw for the major parts, and I just basically broke it all down into, like, stew meat. There was no ground meat out of the deal. We're going to switch here now from our lovely spatula to our tried and trusty horn spoon. Yeah, that was one heck. Oh, there's been a whole bunch of fires here in the last 5 years. But yeah, the one year I think you're referring to, which I think was the which one was the one that got into Coffee Park and took out the Coffee Park neighborhood. That one, actually, there's an article in the New York Times from that one that showed the progression of the fire overnight. Like, and there's a video from, I think it's the Oakland Fire Department, of one of the districts that were traveling up. Like, Oakland's a good hour drive, if not a little bit more, depending on traffic. And from Sonoma County. And they showed in the video, this is on YouTube, I can probably find it if you give me a minute, where they roll into Santa Rosa, and they were supposed to meet at the Kmart, and they show up at the Kmart, and the Kmart's on fire. Yep. It was actually quite a miracle that the hospitals didn't burn down. There were 2 hospitals there that were both in serious issue, and neither one of them really got evacuated properly in time. On top of the fact that we had PG&E, you know, which has been the cause for a majority of these fires, then cutting off power to prevent people, you know, the potential of future fires starting. And so people are now without power with a forest fire. How do you get info? That's what happened. Not that one. Not the. Not that fire that went across. That jumped 101. I mean, it jumped a freeway. Later on, there was one, like, I think it was 2 years ago. It was sort of the West County one, and it was started by PG&E, but PG&E had turned off all the electricity in the area other than the high power lines that started the fire. And so everyone in the area of the fire didn't have power. I don't understand how PG&E still exists. I mean, especially in the corporate world where, you know, okay, cut it, scrap it, let someone else pick up the pieces sort of a world. They just keep getting propped up. They are convicted in court as a murderer. The company is a convicted murderer. Oh yeah, that was a big thing too. I mean, all these people with solar panels and Teslas and didn't have a battery backup to power either of them. Of course, out here they do a bit more with the. I mean, that was more of a good title than it was a reality, because out here, if you're gonna have solar, if you're gonna have a battery, if you're gonna have a solar setup, it actually makes a lot more sense financially for you to have a battery, because then you can take all that power, use that power in your house during the day, and then whatever you don't use, you can send back on peak times, and you get more money for it because they do it by peak versus off-peak hours as far as. But hey, we're doing some Creole, so why don't we use some of this stuff? Bit of onion powder. Do I have any celery salt? Don't. I think we'll just leave it there then. Now the next step is the rice. But actually before that, let's do our stock. Let's get our stock packaged up. Let's get that prepared. We're going to add about 2 cups of rice. So we're going to need some stock in there. This is a 4-ounce ladle, so there's all the liquid that we will need for our rice later on. Just gonna let that hang out there. Welcome, Raiders. Thank you for that raid. 2 Girls, 1 Game. Thank you, thank you. How is everyone this lovely evening? We're having some fun tonight doing. I've got some dirty rice I'm starting on the stove back here. This is just about ready to add our rice in there. We've got our ground meat in there. We got our veggies in there. We got a dark roux going. I just added in some of the chicken stock. And I was just going to transition here into, I've made some stock here. I started it on stream yesterday, and I've strained it in the beginning of this stream. We're going to be switching to bagging and straining, bagging our stock up. So we'll get my cutting board out of the way here first. Thank you for that raid. 2 Girls, 1 2 Girls, 1 Game. Appreciate you joining in. I'm doing quite lovely. Let's bring our stock over here. Show you how lovely I'm doing. Got our chicken stock made on stream here. This is the final product here. Nice and dark liquid. Getting all that color from those onions and the chicken. Yep, and then that's our dirty rice back there. Let's get my bag sealer out here. Can I move my monitor? No, I can't. In fact, I don't know what I just knocked out, whether it was my power or whether it was the... I just knocked out my screen, folks. Thank you for asking, Admiral Slam. I think I knocked out the power. There we go. There we got my monitor back. But we can't plug that in over here. We gotta plug that in over here. And so what this is that I'm handling here, this is just a bag sealer. It's just designed to essentially melt the plastic into a nice line so that we get a nice sealed bag. I'm gonna have to unplug the coffee grinder. Make sure we're not dialed up all the way there. We got this scale, we can use this scale. Got a couple of bags left from this bunch, but I need to get another batch of bags out. Christmas tree brownies, nice. It has been a long time since I've done some brownies, to be honest. I don't know, maybe doing cricket brownies threw me off. Okay, and yeah, I'm forgetting that part to this process too. Can't go wrong with Nutella either. Yep, this is going to be a smaller batch than usual for me. But this was only 3 chickens worth of bones. That's another one I'd like to make, but I don't have a mixer for, is fudge. I'd love to do a proper fudge, but I don't. I even have marble. Maybe I should try doing marble fudge at some point. If I do my bags up here, I'm doing 1.5 pounds in each. So 24 ounces. Works out pretty well for rice and other things. I'm not going to worry about less than half of a tenth of an ounce. I say that like you can see what the weight on the scale says right now, but I guess I'm not going to get it so you can see the... Last chance to get units on the battlefield for Stream Raiders. Then in addition to our bags of stock, we're going to do some ice cubes of stock too. This is the real advantage here of making your own stock at home, is that you can then put it in whatever size you want it to be. In the case of this, I absolutely love having ice cubes of stock around so that I can just throw a couple of ice cubes in instant pan sauce. I'm gonna do at least one more bag though, but let's do our battle real quick here. Let's give that a shot. Think we got it. First shot. victory. Controlled chaos and Palin helping out. Both getting some scrolls for their assistance defeating the boss. I think we'll go the top route. Let's go top down too. Go after the big guy first. Yep. I used to do it in Ziploc bags too, but I found that freezer burn got to be too much of an issue if I was doing. I used to do a lot of it. And so I found these trays now that have silicone lids that match with them. It's not a very tight seal. I wouldn't trust it to hold, a liquid in of any sort. But it does work sort of nicely for stacking and freezing them. That we can put that over the top and keep it from getting any freezer burn too. I mean, I already was using a cheap, I don't even know where I got it. It was just cheap, thin ice mold. And I actually broke it after a while using it for stock. And I just kept it separate entirely because, I do my best to clean these out, but they're not the easiest thing to clean out here. And to get nooks and crannies, and so these are only for stock. Especially since half the time that I am using stock, it's gonna get cooked anyways. I also went with ones that were these hold a little bit more water than your typical ice cube tray, so they got a little bit more to them than. Nice. like most things silicone, there's no real snap or anything. They just sort of form fit to the sides, and so you sort of have to run your fingers around the sides and make sure you get a nice seal on them. Then we need a nice little flat area that we can put these in. And hope we don't spill too much on the way over. Don't think I lost anything that time. Yeah, nowadays everyone wants to call them, well, now everyone wants to call it bone broth, because bone broth, to me, is not a term. We're just pouring all of it in there. Yeah, so I can get a bit more. I think that there's broth, and I think there is stock. Bone broth does not exist. Bone broth is stock. In fact, I would suggest, I am okay with brodo, because brodo is just broth in Italian. But, yeah. Bone broth is Western price people thinking, following 100-year-old guidance that had no bounding in science. Can I reach that all the way over here from there? Yeah, let's see if we can reach this over here instead of putting it over. Oh, that's how I did it last time. I got out the extension. That's how I did it last time. Now where did I put the extension? There we go. Now we can show our bag sealing. But I still need this to be somewhat close to the edge here of the counter because Need the bag over the edge to seal it. We start by sealing the bag and getting as much air out of the bag as we can. Hear a little click, the light turns off, the LED on the end, and it is melted. It is sealed. Broth to me is something a estate or large estate. Let's just use large estate. And back in the days, you had multiple families and perhaps slave families living in said estate, and even in modern times, depending on where you are. And so broth to me is them keeping things reasonable price-wise and just always having that pot in the background going for all the scraps, for all the stuff that's going bad, for all of the odds and ends, the meat that's going bad, which to me is the major distinction, is broth is going to have some meat to it, whereas you're going to have bones for the stock. However, there's always going to be a little meat attached to the bones. And a stock to me is much more the French upbringing, where it's made to be used in a bunch of other stuff. And consommé to me is, well, today consommé to me is, not consommé. Consommé is a clarified stock to me. But, what is the other one? Bouillon. Bouillon to me is, just means salt cube to me these days. But the original definition of bouillon would be a stock that was created for a specific recipe. And so, like, if I made this whole batch of stock just for making soup, for one soup or for one dinner dish, then it'd be a bouillon. Alright, so we got our stock bagged up for later. We'll worry about you later. A little bit of fat in a couple of them, but I don't mind a little fat. You can strain it off if you want to before you even get into the bagging department. Like I said, I often reduce my stocks. I thought this was looking both in color and in thickness. This does have some thickness to it, as you can see by how quickly or slowly it's moving. Or when the bubbles are in the pan, they have a little bit of a thickness to them. You can tell. So I think both the thickness, probably the gelatin content, we'll find out once they're chilled for sure. And I think it's all acceptable. It's all within. Not going to ruin anything. There's maybe an ounce of fat at most in one of those bags. Like, that's maybe an ounce there. And the other good thing about these is they fit pretty well in the freezer. Okay, back to rice. Let's fix our camera here. Bring our board back into action. And we need 2 cups of rice. Just using short grain Calrose tonight. This is the standard of rices, or most common of rices, or most mass-produced of rices. Yep. I didn't notice it when you first said that there, Admiral Sam, but there's actually a farmer's market in Sonoma County that does that as a special event once a year. I don't know how they get away with it with the health department, but the health department in Sonoma County is a joke, so... Like, the state rules on what's supposed to happen with restaurants are very clear in one way, and when I lived in LA was much closer to those rules. However, LA also feel the need to pay them. They seem to care less. But up here in Sonoma, like, they almost just don't care. They just want you to have a business. It sounds like a fun event until you realize what's going on in the rest of the world right now. Community potlucks are very often not very legal. Unless it's like, because who do you blame? Who do you have? I mean, if everyone gets sick, who made everyone sick? Alright, so we're turning to heat back on our rice back here. Still probably got some decent heat here from before, but I've had the flame off this entire time that we've been bagging the stock. So here on the stove, for anyone just joining in, it's looking like just a bunch of liquid there, but we've got peppers, we've got shallots, we've got garlic, we've got ground beef in there, we've got a bunch of stock in there. There's a whole bunch of flavor in that pan right now. And that's what we're going to be adding our rice to once it gets up to temp here. We're going to bring that up to a low boil before we add our rice. While we're waiting for that, why don't we do a little last of the chive action here. I'm going to throw the last of my chives into this. Last of this box of chives. I say my chives, but I mean, they're in my house. How you doing tonight, Evangeline? Welcome, man. I'm just going to use all of them. So there may be a few strays in there, but that's life. Awesome! That can be a rough one too, like just one type of cookie or a whole bunch of different type of cookies. It can be a rough one doing cookies. They're a lot more work than people sometimes think they are. I am not going to repeat last year's cookie night. Last year's cookie night was a little extreme. We'll probably still have a cookie night sometime here in December, but... Yep, that alone will, sometimes double or triple your work. Alright, we'll add our rice now into that. Oh. Okay, we're back to it. Low boil. You have a little helper. That's always fun. I'd look into the inside of it if I were you, Evangeline. Depending on which mixers it is. These days they're typically either belt-driven, and those are usually the more expensive ones. Or more likely, if you got yourself a Cuisinart or a KitchenAid, it's probably going to be plastic gears. And so if the motor is the motor's done, that's one thing. But if it's running and it's not doing anything, you can probably replace those gears or that belt. Well, that's a good mixer then. Okay, we got this still at a boil after adding that rice in there, so we're going to turn this down a bit now. We want it to be just barely at a boil. Allow that rice to cook. Wrong one. Wrong button. Nice! Yeah, if it's older than you, it's probably a decent one. The modern ones are not built as... They're built with lifetimes. They want you to repeat business later in life. It's like light bulbs. There was literally a cartel for light bulbs that kept them from lasting too long so that they could sell you more light bulbs. Let's amp hungry. That can I understand too. And I'm going to throw the majority of these greens in there, but we're going to do that towards the end here. We'll save a small pinch for like a garnish on the top, but just to emphasize their role. And while this is not an authentic dirty rice, it is authentic to dirty rice to be cooking your rice in with everything else there. And so, normally I would do rice separately. I would rinse it. I didn't rinse it tonight. We're just throwing it in there because we want that just all come together. It's dirty rice. It's dirt. It's not the prettiest dish I could be making tonight, but it is damn tasty. I actually recommend that, Admiral. Well, you can technically do that. I don't really know why, but like someone put sushi up as a ingredient challenge item, and I was explaining that, you know, to me sushi is really just the rice. That's why you can put just about anything in sushi. Now, see, I use wintergreen, and I prefer wintergreen, but that's because I don't like mint. I really cannot stand mint. For just about anything in my house, if there is a citrus option versus mint, I have the citrus option. I just don't like mint. The flavor is I don't mind it in food. It's almost completely different. It's whatever flavorings they use for mint, whether it's toothpaste, whether it's mouthwash, whether it's chewing gum, across the board. I just don't want mint. We're getting close here. We're starting to stick on the bottom. We might need a bit more water this time around because I'm doing this without the lid on there. So actually I'm going to add a bit more water in here. The amount that steams off and the amount of cooking time here is probably enough that we can justify. That was a whole extra cup. At least a half cup could have gone in there easily. And I'm not going to be worried if it's a little bit loose. But it's time for our battle. Our final battle of the evening. Got a barbarian down there. I think we're just gonna go with haste. Just debating if I wanted to put a killing field out there, but there's no real one good spot to go there. That barbarian almost took out all of them. Zarbak just going ham. Getting the kills too. Calculated move. Zarbak. Do we have Toto? We're gonna leave it there for tonight because we're about to wrap up our dirty rice here. Yep, Admiral, upwards of, what is it, 16%? Something like that? Good percentage of the people out there taste cilantro and they taste soap. I am not one of those people. I like cilantro. However, I do sympathize. There's many things, there's many more foods out there that people don't realize. Like, there's just many more foods out there that people don't realize. But when it comes to, I mean, the different types and the ones that can affect you and the ones that can't. I've told the story before where went through a garden and, you know, they get all of us to try, I think they were daylily leaves. Or lily leaves or daylily leaves. And, you know, we all give a shot trying them. They're like, oh, yeah, well, sorry, 20% of you, that's going to be a laxative. Alright, let's add in majority of our chives here now. We'll save a small percentage of them for garnish. Okay, that's more than a small percentage, but you get what I mean. A little freeze-dried thyme. Oh wow, I can smell that thyme much more than I could the chive going in. That thyme just instantly. Yep, after we ate it, Admiral. You gonna leave them in the oven overnight? You start them at like 8 a.m. Well, typically meringue have to either have a really low, long bake to them, or what a lot of people do is they bake them and then they turn their oven off and leave them in the oven and let the residual heat continue to dry them out overnight. Or Alright, let's give this a try and make sure our rice is cooked through at this point. Should be. Should be doing alright. Right on the edge there. I think I might give that a little bit more time. And I think I might give that a little bit more water since we're basically dry here now. So now I've used an extra 2 cups from typical rice cooking. Normally I've done 2 cups of rice, and normally you do 1.5 times liquid, and now we've done 2 times liquid rather than 1.5. But again, I'm cooking this in an open pot rather than... Typically when you cook rice, you're having it covered for the majority of the time. You're using the steam somewhat to cook it. Am I drinking tonight? I should get myself some water to start. Let's get some water to start. By the way, another reason that I made dirty rice tonight is because I still have these beautiful muffins, or biscuits from last night. So we're gonna have a couple birdie biscuits with our dirty rice tonight. So that's another reason why I don't mind this being a little bit on the liquidier side and why I added even more liquid in there. Although this is already thickening up again. May want even more water, but we'll see. That's another one, air fryers. I put air fryers in the same category as bone broth. Air fryers, the term air fryers, I think only exists because they can't sell people a second oven. Like, you tell people, here, buy this oven, it's better. And they're like, no, I already have one. You know, it's exact same thing, it's just a modern design. But that sounds awesome. I would love to have a smaller oven than that because, you know, it's very energy inefficient and it heats up the whole house, and if I'm just doing some small things, sometimes I don't really want to do that and I still do it. dry brining, yeah, that's what they're referring to these days, is using a salt, and often it'll still be bagged. But it does allow, yeah. But yeah, I sort of wish that I had a smaller little oven to go with that one. It's still soaked up all that liquid. So I'm gonna add even more. Only adding about a half cup that time. I guess we'll use this for tonight. It's a bit large for what I was planning, but then again, this dinner is too. Wow. I've still got chicken left over from last night. I've been trying out jerkies whenever I take an airplane ride lately. I gotta have my airplane snacks. Airplane snacks are just a requirement. Somewhat, but it's also it's somewhat like Cajun risotto, but it's also the basis of jambalaya too. I mean, this is the difference between this and jambalaya is some chicken, some meat, some seafood, what have you. Alright, let's see here. We have anyone out there in the Twitterverse? We haven't gotten any Guide the Raid channel point commands used tonight that I've noticed. Let's see who we got online tonight. Let's see if we want to call it a night or... I think I'm going to call it a night here. Now, see, the things that I like the most about Cajun or Creole cuisine is the thing that I probably do the least, because we don't really I don't know a local source for it out here. I don't have a local source for it, but I would love to do some crayfish. I would love to do some fresh crawfish, crayfish, crawdads, what haves ya. Let's give a up close and main view of what we got going on here before we call it a night. Try and not slide it out entirely of the bowl. So yeah, I think we're gonna call it here a night here. Want to thank everyone for joining me tonight. Gonna be back on Wednesday. Gonna be doing pizza rolls as an ingredient challenge. So I'll have to be using pizza rolls to make both dinner and dessert. Pizza rolls for dessert on Wednesday. Should be interesting. Not 100% sure what I'm going to do. Got some ideas. I know one thing that I'm doing for sure, but that's sort of a running thing. So I hope you come and join me for that. Going to be back later on Friday and Sunday. If you can't make it on Wednesday, I hope you join me. And as always, have a great night. Hope to see you again. Bye-bye now.